Привет! Начинаю. Сегодня день влога у меня. Вот так. Так что смотрите, что я буду сегодня делать. Так, The Hell You Are читали Truly Slow Thousands of Dollars a Day тоже. He caught my eyes. Так, say that one more time. His words came slow, dripping with dread. I didn't say a word, so he started reaching behind the seat, trying to smack me, but I was so small it was easy to hide. The car veered, не знаю, left and right as he was half turned in my direction, punching air. He'd bear... Если не знаю, he, потом это запятая d, это he would, наверное. Почему did нельзя так сократить? Ну, почему это неправильно? He'd barely touch me, which only stoked his fire. We drove in silence until he caught his breath. When we get home, you're gonna take your clothes off, he said. That's what he'd say when he was ready to bestow a serious beatdown, and there was no avoiding it. I did what I was told. I went into my bedroom and took off my clothes, walked down the hall to his room, closed the door behind me, turned the lights off, then laid across the corner of the bed with my legs dangling, my torso stretched out in front of me, and my ass exposed. Не знаю, что это за описание. Что за мотив? That was the protocol, and he designed it for maximum psychological and physical pain. The beatings were often brutal, but the anticipation was the worst part. I couldn't see the door behind me, and he'd take his time, letting my dread build. When I heard him open the door, my panic spiked. Even the room was so dark, I couldn't see much with my peripheral vision and couldn't prepare for the first smack until his belt hit my skin. Ему, видимо, сказали сделать так, ты придешь голый в мою комнату, я тебя буду наказывать. Потому что until his belt hit my skin, до того, как его ремень ударил по моей коже. It was never just 2 or 3 likings either. There was no particular count, so we never knew when or if he was gonna stop. This beating lasted minutes upon minutes. He started on my butt, but the sting was so bad I blocked it with my hands. So he moved down and started ripping my thighs. When I dropped my hands to my thighs, he swung at my lower back. He belted me dozens of times and was breathless, coughing and slick with sweat by the time it was over. I was breathing heavy too, but I wasn't crying. Короче, его избивали жестко, он не плакал. His evil was too real. А кто его избивал, брат или отец? His evil was too real, and my hate gave me courage. I refused to give that motherfucker the satisfaction. I just stood up, looked the devil in his eye, limped to my room, and stood in front of a mirror. I was covered in welts from my neck to the crease at the knees. I didn't go to the school for several days. Его жестко вообще избили. А кто? Непонятно. When you're getting beat consistently, hope evaporates. You stifle your emotions, but your trauma of cases in unconscious ways. After countless beatings she endured and witnessed, this particular beatdown left my mother in a constant fog, a shell of the woman I remembered from a few years before. She was distracted and vacant most of the time, except when he called her name, and then she'd hope to like she was his slave, I didn't know until years later that she was considering suicide. Then she'd hoped like she was his slave. Okay, I didn't know until years later that she was considering a suicide. My brother and I took our pain out on each other. We'd sit or stand across from one another, and he would throw punches as hard as he could at me. It usually started out as a game, but he was 4 years older, much stronger, and he connected with all his power. Я думаю, если избивал их отец всю, и его брата, и его, и маму, то отец просто нереально кайфовал. Вот. Ну, потом ему от этого становилось, сложненький процесс избавления от чего-то, что тебе тяжело внутри, очень тяжелым путем, который неодобрителен в обществе. Ну так, перспектива. Whenever I'd fall, I'd get up and he'd hit me again. Короче, если он падал, то он вставал, и его снова били. As hard as he could, yelling like a martial arts warrior at the top of his lungs, his face twisted with rage. You are not hurting me. Is that all you fucking have? I'd shout back. I wanted him to know that I could take more pain than he could ever deliver. Он хотел доказать, что он может принять больше боли, чем тот ему доставит. But when it was time to fall asleep and there were... Мне нравится фраза I could take more pain than he could ever deliver. But when it was time to fall asleep and there were no more battles to fight, no place to hide, I wet the bed. Nearly every night, my mother's every day was a lesson in survival. She was told she was worthless, so often she started to believe it. Everything she did was an effort to appease him so he wouldn't bat her sons or whip her ass, but there were invisible tripwires in her world and something she never knew when or how she set them off until after he slapped the shit out of her. Other times she knew she teed herself up for a vicious beat down. One day I came home early from school with a nasty earache and lay down on my mother's side of the bed, my left ear throbbing in excruciating pain. With each throb my head speaked. Словечки какие. Не знаю, spiked, I think. I knew I wouldn't be going to the doctor because my father didn't approve of spending his money on doctors or dentists. We didn't have health insurance, a pediatrician, or a dentist. If we got injured or sick, we were told to shake it off because he wasn't down to pay for anything that didn't directly benefit Trunis Goggins. Okay, our health didn't meet that standard, and that pissed me the fuck off. After about a half hour, my mother came upstairs to check on me, and when I rolled onto my back, she could see blood dribbling down the side of my neck and smeared all over the pillow. My mother came upstairs to check on me, and when I rolled onto my back, she could see blood dribbling down the side of my neck and smeared all over the pillow. That's it, she said. Come with me. She got me out of bed, dressed me, and helped me to her car. But before she could start the engine, my dad chased us down. Where you think you're going? The emergency room, she said as she turned the ignition. He reached for the handle, but she peeled out first, leaving him in her dust. Furious, he stomped inside, slammed the door, and called out to my brother, "Son, get me Johnny Walker." Trunis Jr. brought over a bottle of Red Label and a glass from the wet bar. He poured and watched my dad down shot after shot. Each one filled an inferno. "You and David need to be strong," he raved. "I'm not raising a bunch of faggots, and that's what you will be if you go to the doctor every time you get a little boo-boo. Understand?" My brother nodded, petrified. "Your last name is Goggins, and we shake it off." According to the doctor we saw that night, my mother got me to the ER just in time. My ear infection was so bad that if we'd waited any longer, I would have lost my hearing in my left ear for life. She risked her ass to save mine, and we both knew she'd pay for it. We drove home in eerie silence. My dad was still stewing at the kitchen table by the time we turned onto Paradise Road, and my brother was still pouring him shots. Trunis Jr. feared our father, but he also worshipped the man and was under his spell. As the firstborn son, he was treated better. Trunis would still lash out at him, but in his warped mind, Trunis Jr. was his prince. "When you grow up, I'm gonna want to see you be the man of your house," Trunis told him. "And you're gonna see me be a man tonight." Moments after we walked through the front door, Trunis beat out Mother senseless. But my brother couldn't watch. Whenever the beating exploded like a thunderstorm overhead, he'd wait them out in his room. He ignored the darkness because the truth was too heavy for him to carry. I always paid close fucking attention. Вот, я пойду наносить макияж, поеду в кино, а потом к подружке, потом не знаю, что